Hello Oscar, Grandpa here, and it's actually a lovely sunny day. So look, there's Moosey with the sun on him, so I've had to close the curtain a little bit just so that I don't get the sun in my eyes. Anyway, it's rather nice. I hope you're well. I hope you enjoyed your little sister Annabelle's birthday. Both of you seem to be having a lot of fun, and I know you love playing with her. So it's lots of love from me and Granny, and from Moosey. Have you been good, Moosey? I've been good. I've been good. And Auntie Anna, who's actually in Spain at the moment, so for a few days. So that's nice for her. So we'll carry on reading about how to train your dragon and how is Hiccup getting on. And if you remember, he was trying to train Toothless, his dragon, by shouting at Toothless, but it wasn't working. And he said, "Just give up," he said. "This will never work." The thing about us dragons, said Toothless helpfully, is we're survivors. We're not like soppy cats or dumb dogs falling in love with their masters and yucky things like that. Only reason we ever do what a man wants is because he's bigger than us and gives us food. What's he saying? Asked Fishlegs. Pretty much what you're saying, said Hiccup. Never trust a dragon, said Toothless, cheerfully hopping out of the wallow and helping himself to one of the winkles that Hiccup had found for him. Toothless was particularly fond of winkles. Just like picking your nose, he said. Ooh, that's horrible, isn't it, Oscar? Winkles are little shells you find on the beach. You may have found them, and you can eat what's inside, the snail inside. Just like picking your nose, Toothless said. That's what my mother taught me in the nest, and she should know. Moosey, sit still. Hiccup sighed. It was true. Toothless was cute to look at, and very good company, if a little demanding. However, you only had to look into his big, innocent, heavily lashed eyes to realise that he was totally without morals. The eyes were ancient, the eyes of a killer. You might as well ask a crocodile or a shark to be your friend. Hiccup wiped the mud off his face. I'll think of something else, said Hiccup. February turned into March, and Hiccup was still thinking. A few flowers made the mistake of appearing and were immediately blasted out of existence by a couple of hard frosts that had kept themselves back for this very purpose. Fishlegs could now get Horror Cow to go and stay on command. Hiccup was still struggling to teach Toothless the basics of toilet training. How do you toilet train a dragon then? Eh, Oscar? No pooing in the kitchen, said Hiccup for the 100th time, carrying Toothless outside after yet another accident. Is warmer in kitchen, whined Toothless. But poos go outside, you know that, said Hiccup at the end of his tether. Toothless promptly pooed all over Hiccup's hands and down his tunic. Is outside, is outside, is outside, crowed Toothless. At this inopportune moment, Snotlout and Dog's Breath came sauntering past Stoic's house on the way back from the beach, their dragons on their shoulders. Well, 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 sneered Snotlout, if it isn't the useless, covered in dragon poo. It actually quite suits you. Ha, 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 snorted Dog's Breath. That's not a dragon, jeered Sea Slug. Dog's Breath's dragon, who was an ugly great gronkle with a pug nose and a mean temper. That's a newt with wings. Look, that's a picture of Sea Slug. That's not a dragon, scoffed Fireworm, Snotlout's dragon, who was as big a bully as her master. That's an ickle newborn bunny wabbit with a pathetic poo problem. Toothless gave a gasp of fury. Snotlout showed Hiccup the immense heap of fish that he had wrapped up in his cloak. Look what Fireworm and Sea Slug caught down at the beach, and it only took a couple of hours. Fireworm coughed, flexed a shining muscle or two, and looked at her claws in fake modesty. Oh, please, she drawled. I wasn't even concentrating. If I was trying, I could do it in 10 minutes with one wing tied behind my back. Excuse me while I throw up, muttered Toothless to Horror Cow, who was regarding Fireworm with disapproval in her big brown eyes. We reckon Fireworm, look, there's a picture of Fireworm. There's Fireworm, all fire. We reckon Fireworm could be a bit of a hunting legend, grinned Snotlout. I hear that Horror Cow is partial to carrots. Has the toothless wonder got up the nerve to attack a vegetable? Carrots are a bit crunchy, but perhaps he could manage the odd squished cucumber. You could give it to him through a straw, perhaps. Huh, huh, huh. Dog's Breath laughed so hard that snot came snorting out of his nose. Careful, Dog's Breath, said Fishlegs politely. Your brains are coming out. Dog's Breath bashed him hard and the two boys swaggered off, Fireworm making a lunge at Toothless that nearly took his eye out as he went past. As soon as they were safely out of earshot, Toothless jumped out of Hiccup's arms and coughed out sheets of flame in a menacing manner. Whoa, what about that, Oscar? Bullies, yellow bellies, come closer and Toothless will fry you to a frazzle. Toothless will drag out your guts and play 'em on a harp. Toothless will, well, you just better not come any closer, that's all. Oh, very brave, said Hiccup sarcastically. If you shout louder, they might even hear you. Poor Toothless. So, next chapter, chapter 9, Fear, Vanity, Revenge and Silly Jokes. March turned into April. That's the month we're in now, isn't it, Oscar? And April turned into May. After Fireworm's remark about the pathetic bunny rabbit, Toothless never pooed in the kitchen again. But Hiccup hadn't made any further progress in training him. It was still raining, but it was a warm rain. The wind was blowing, but it was a less furious wind. It was just about possible to stand upright. The gulls' eggs were hatching on the rocks, and the parent gulls dive-bombed Hiccup and Fishlegs when they came to the long beach to practice. Kill, Horror Cow, kill, said Fishlegs to Horror Cow, who was calmly perched on his shoulder. You could have the black-backed gull for breakfast. He's barely half your size. Honestly, Hiccup, I give up. I don't know how I'm going to pass the hunting section of the test. I think that's Fishlegs. That's a picture of Fishlegs with Horror Cow. Ugly looking thing. I don't know how I'm going to pass the hunting section of the test. Horror Cow just doesn't have the killer instinct. She'd never survive in the wild. Hiccup laughed hollowly. You think you've got problems. Toothless and I are failing right from the beginning. The basic obedience commands, the retrieval, the compulsory exercises, the hunting, the lot. It can't be that bad, said Fishlegs. Watch, said Hiccup. The boys moved along the beach a bit out of range of the gulls. They started practicing the most basic command of all. Go! The dragon was supposed to stand bolt upright on the handler's outstretched arm. The handler would then bark the command as loudly as possible, while simultaneously lifting his arm to fling the dragon into the air. The dragon was supposed to soar gracefully into flight when the handler's arm reached its highest point. Horror Cow yawned, scratched and slowly flapped off, grumbling to herself. Toothless was even less obedient. Go! Yelled Hiccup. Hiccup flung his arm up. Toothless hung on. I said go! Hiccup repeated in frustration. There's Hiccup. Oh dear. With Toothless, and Toothless won't budge off his arm. Why go? Shuddered Toothless, gripping even tighter. Just go, 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 screamed Hiccup, flapping his arm up and down frantically, with Toothless hanging onto it for dear life. Toothless stayed. Toothless, said Hiccup as reasonably as he could, please go. If you don't start going when I tell you to, we're both going to be thrown into exile. But I don't want to go, Toothless pointed out, equally reasonably. Fishlegs watched the whole process in appalled amazement. You really do have problems, he said to Hiccup in an awed voice. Yup, said Hiccup. He finally managed to uncurl Toothless's claws, which had relaxed their grip for a second, and pushed him off. Toothless landed on the sand with a squeal of outrage and immediately attached himself to Hiccup's leg, getting a good grip on the sandals with his talons and wrapping his wings around Hiccup's calf. not going, said Toothless stubbornly. It can't get much worse than this, said Hiccup, so I'm going to try a new tack. He took out the notebook in which he had been jotting down all he knew about dragons, in the hope that it might be useful. Dragon motivation, Hiccup read aloud. 1. Gratitude, Hiccup sighed. 2. Fear. That works, but I can't do it. 3, 4 and 5. Greed, vanity and revenge. Those are all worth a try. 6. Jokes and riddling talk. Only if I'm desperate. This has got to be, look, that's Hiccup's list. And he's been crossing through some of them, like great gratitude, because dragons are never grateful. Oh dear. This has got to be a first ruled, his fish legs, but I'm with Gobber the Belch on this one. Why don't you just yell a bit louder? Hiccup ignored him. Okay, Toothless, said Hiccup to the little dragon, who was pretending to be asleep as he held on to Hiccup's leg. For every fish you catch me, I will give you 2 more lobsters when you get home. Toothless opened his eyes. Alive, he said eagerly. Can Toothless kill them? Please, just this once. No, Toothless, said Hiccup firmly. I keep on telling you, it isn't kind to torture creatures smaller than yourself. That wouldn't be right, would it, Oscar? Toothless closed his eyes again. You're so boring, he said sulkily. You're such a clever, quick dragon, Toothless, Hiccup flattered. I bet you could catch more fish than any of the others on Thursday if you wanted to. Toothless opened his eyes to consider the matter. Twice as many, he said modestly, but I don't want to. This was unanswerable. Hiccup crossed vanity off his list. You know that big red Farwen dragon who was so rude to you, said Hiccup. Toothless spat on the ground in indignation. Said I was a newt with wings, said I was an incontinent bunny rabbit. Toothless going to kill her. Toothless going to scratch her to death. Toothless going to... Yes, said Hiccup hastily. That Farwen dragon and her master, who looks like a pig, think that Farworm is going to catch more fish than anybody else at the Thursday celebrations. Think how stupid they're going to look if you win the prize for the most promising dragon instead of her. Toothless got off Hiccup's leg. I will think about that, said Toothless. He waddled off a couple of feet and thought about it. 5 minutes later, he was still thinking. He let out the odd chuckle every now and then, but every time Hiccup said, so how about it then? He just replied, still thinking, go away. With a sigh, Hiccup put a line through revenge. Okay, said Fishlegs, looking over at Hiccup's shoulder. You've tried everything else. How about jokes and riddling talk? I assume you are desperate. Toothless, said Hiccup, if you catch a nice big mackerel, you will be the cleverest, fastest dragon on Berk, and you will make that Farwen dragon look like an idiot, and you will have all the lobsters you can eat when we get home, and I'll tell you a really good joke. Toothless turned round. Toothless loves jokes. He flapped onto Hiccup's arm again. All right, Toothless help you, but not because me being nice or anything yucky. No, said Hiccup, of course not. Us dragons are cruel and mean, but we do love a joke. Tell me now. Hiccup laughed. No way. After you bring me a mackerel. Okay then, said Toothless. He jumped off Hiccup's arm into the air. A dragon hunting is an impressive sight, a very impressive sight, even a scrawny infant one like Toothless. He flew across the beach in his usual untidy, lopsided fashion, shrieking a few insults along the way at any cormorants that looked smaller than him. But as soon as he reached the sea, Toothless seemed to grow up a bit. The sea salt awoke in him some ancestral memory of the great pedigree hunting monsters that were his forefathers. He spread out his wings like a kite and flew fairly swiftly over the surface of the choppy waves, keeping his body and wings steady as he searched for the movement of fish. Well, there, Oscar. Next time we'll learn what actually happened and whether Toothless did catch any fish. So at the moment, it's going to be bye from me, Grandpa, and from Granny, and obviously Auntie Anna as well, and Moosey. And have a lovely week. And we will say lots of love to Mummy and Daddy and your little sister Annabelle. And we'll see you again soon. Bye. Bye.